three seniors in competition today. Not the final home meet for Maryland. They'll be back one more time at the beginning of March on a Wednesday evening. But Maryland is coming off of a Friday performance where they finished third out of 5 teams at George Washington, Lauren, and they have really hit a stretch of consistency here in the month of February that they'd like to keep going here at home today as they welcome Kentucky, William & Mary, and Penn here to College Park.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you that at this point in the season, they've definitely found their rhythm. They're definitely getting confident. They're getting up there with some big scores. They haven't counted a fall in February, which is very impressive. That's where everyone should be right now. So I think coming into this meet with a nice home meet, they can really continue to build that confidence and climb that ladder in terms of getting some good RQS scores and those types of things moving on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, Maryland made the short trip to George Washington on Friday night. They finished third out of 5 teams. The 2 teams that they fell to are both ranked inside the top 25. George Washington, number 20, and Iowa, number 22. They got wins over Pittsburgh and William & Mary, who is back here this afternoon. So we'll see what Maryland can do. They welcome Penn, William & Mary, and then one of the nation's very best teams in Kentucky. This program has really just been energized under head coach Tim Garrison. They come in today as the number 9 team in the nation, and they are riding a tidal wave of momentum with them here in this meet on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. Last weekend, they got their program first ever win over Alabama with a huge 197-475. That's a huge accomplishment, a huge score, and then coming into a meet like this, they easily have to have all the confidence in the world, and they got those big names, Alex Highland, Molly Korth, Sydney Dukes. Those, the whole team is a big hitter, but with them, Molly Korth has had at least 3 SEC Freshman of the Year or Freshman of the Week honors, so she's got a lot going for her, and they really just have to continue doing what they're doing because, like you said, things are really skyrocketing for them.
Yeah, they are certainly a battle-tested team coming out of the SEC, but to come down here, they enter as the favorite today, but certainly a team that Maryland has its sights set on, and there would be no better way than to send out Maryland's trio of seniors than registering a win here at home over a top 10 opponent.
Oh, definitely. It would be, for this crowd, there's a lot of locals around here that come to see this team, and I think that they could do anything. Like I said, they're hitting their stride, and now they're back at home, a comfort zone. So with those 2 things going for them, they really do have a shot at doing anything at this point.
The touch warm-up clock has begun. We're about 4 minutes away from the start of rotation number 1. Let's talk about the other 2 teams that have come here this afternoon. 2 very evenly matched teams in Penn and William & Mary. And if the scores shake out about how they have been to this point all season, you figure Kentucky and Maryland are going to battle for those top 2 spots. But I think could be a really interesting matchup between Penn and William & Mary, who, if you look at them statistically, are nearly neck and neck with each other. In fact, Penn enters at number 62 in the rankings this weekend. William & Mary number 63, so that could be a real toss-up.
Yeah, definitely, and both of them, kind of like everyone, it's like that mid-season stride that everyone has hit. William & Mary competed on Friday, so just 2 days ago, they hit their second best score of the season with a 192.725, but they've reached over that 193 mark already, so that could easily happen again if they have a good day for them and they put it all together at the same time.
And Penn in that same boat. We've seen them score over 193 a couple times, but they've been a little more inconsistent, and I think you've mentioned that keyword consistency. That's where every team wants to be as you're making that postseason push, and it is sneaking up on you. You're more than midway through the regular season right now, and so Penn is a team that's been up into the mid-193s. They've been great on floor exercise, put up some program-high numbers, but then they've also turned around and had meets in the 180s falling against Westchester, so they're hoping to see just a little bit more evenness as they hit the backstretch of the regular season.
Yeah, and as we talked about sort of before our broadcast started, is we've noted that Penn has changed around their lineups a lot. And, mid-season, a lot of times you see teams with their set. As long as there's no injuries, they'll be set in their lineups. But they're still kind of playing around with who goes when and, maybe taking some of their exhibitionists and putting them in the actual lineup because they're looking for someone maybe to be that consistent, as we keep saying, consistent performer on those events. So, maybe today's lineup is the one that'll click and they'll get back up into that 193, and the RQS scores come out on Monday, so hopefully they'll be able to drop some of those lower scores but get another good road score here today to add to their total RQS in the first week of those rankings.
Yeah, the RQS, not to get into all of the technical calculations on it, but the short version is instead of just being a straight average of every score for the year, which the rankings have been determined by to this point, the RQS heavily weights your road scores, and that you take your top 6 overall, at least 3 of those 6 have to be road scores. You knock out the best score of the year and average those next 5. So if you can put up good numbers on the road, that is what will help you in the RQS and in the new national rankings more than anything else. So a real opportunity today for Kentucky, Penn, and William & Mary as the road teams. So we're just getting ready to start rotation number 1 as the countdown clock continues here through our touch warm-ups. Maryland will begin on vault, Kentucky will begin on bars, Penn will begin on beam, and William & Mary begins on floor exercise. Maryland gets to move in home order or Olympic order. They'll move from vault to bars to beam and finish on floor exercise. So Maryland's lineup here in the first rotation there. Freshman all-arounder Kirsten Peterman will lead them off. Deanna Magro will be second. Emily Brockmuller third. Morgan Bixler fourth. Alicia Farina fifth. And Sarah Fowler in the anchor spot for Maryland on vault. Obviously just wanting to set the tone here at home, and you know, the target is on Kentucky's back. They enter as the number 9 team. They're a very young team. No seniors on the roster and a lot of freshmen and sophomores in the lineup. They'll actually be led off by one of their juniors, Katie Carlisle on bars, followed by 4 sophomores, Katrina Coca, Sydney Dukes, Katie Stewart, and Alex Highland. And then the freshman who you mentioned, Lauren, Molly Korth, is the anchor on bars. And they've got 4 all-arounders, Dukes, Stewart, Highland, and Korth, 3 sophomores and a freshman, so a very young team is in good shape moving forward. So the touch warm-up clock has expired, and we are ready to begin here. As you can see, Kirsten Peterman will lead off on vault for Maryland. The Terrapins enter the weekend as the 41st ranked team in the nation, but they have been dangerous. As you said, they have not counted a fall in the month of February, and if that continues today, they can put some pressure on the Wildcats and try to test this very young Kentucky team.
Definitely, and they had some big scores last weekend. I mean, just looking at vault, Morgan Bixler, who is a freshman, she has only been in this vault lineup 4 times and went 9-9. So she's a big score that they're trying to add. And, you know, some of the older ones who have been in this vault lineup, like Sarah Fowler, she is a really consistent performer. Peterman, a really consistent performer on the vault. So if they can put it all together all at once, we definitely will have ourselves a really good vault rotation from the Terps.
Now Maryland ready to get going. Kentucky has already completed their first bars routine from Katie Carlisle. Kelly Tan out on the beam for Penn. She's followed by Ali Podsednik, Kira Levy, Caroline Moore, Nicole Swerbalis, and Rachel Graham. And William & Mary underway on floor exercise with Sophie Harris, Caroline Capone, Aaliyah Kerr, Olivia O'Connor, Bree Gironda, and Taylor White. So here we go. Maryland will start their day with their freshman all-arounder, Kirsten Peterman.
Big Yurchenko full, just a small hop back. It's a great vault to start with. Really, really clean in the air. It had nice height and distance, which is important to get both of those things in these vaults. And especially when you're going to see maybe a lot of Yurchenko fulls, you got to have the whole package in it, to be honest. So we'll get one more look at it here. Legs glued, super pointed toes. That hop is really the only thing I got, so it was a really good start for Maryland, definitely.
So the Yurchenko layout full, a 9.95 start value. They'll take the deductions from a possible 9.95, but a very clean, solid start for Maryland here on their afternoon. So as we await the scores for Peterman, Deanna Magro getting ready to go second.
Another young one on the Terps team. So we talked about Kentucky being young, but Maryland is also a pretty young team. They have those 3 seniors, but in terms of upperclassmen versus underclassmen, they, I believe, are 10 underclassmen and only 7 upperclassmen. So they're also young, and their freshmen have really stepped up, and I think that's why you're seeing them hit this stride mid-season, is because they've really settled into the college gymnastics atmosphere. They've really gotten their groove on whatever event they're competing on. So they've really, really stepped in and had a good run now starting, midway through.
You get to a certain point in your season where really the freshmen are no longer freshmen, and I think that's what's happening for Maryland right now. Interestingly, the breakdown in the Terrapins vault lineup, you've got 4 freshmen and 2 seniors, so you've kind of got both extremes, but 4 out of your 6 freshmen is setting Maryland up to be in good position moving forward as well.
So Magro will be up next here. She is another one that has a great Yurchenko layout full. Another really, really good landing. And I think what I've noticed, having been here for the first couple home meets, taking a little break and now being back, is that they look so much cleaner. I did their home opener, and there was maybe, those little nerves where you just forget the little things. And I think right now I'm seeing that they've really cleaned up those little things. Magro just had that slight step backwards, but again, super clean in the air. Tight legs are together with pointed toes. It's all those little things that really start to add up and will get you over those 195 marks that they're looking for.
Yeah, you can see her fighting so hard, almost digging in with those toes for the stick. So just shy of it there, but a small step back. As we check in with Penn on beam, this is Ali Podsednik.
One-armed back handspring to a back layout step out. Really nice little unique series there with the one-armed rather than just a regular, two-handed back handspring. If you can add that extra unique difficulty, I think really stands out to judges in many cases. And then Emily Brockmuller back on the vault. A great Yurchenko full, just a step back. A great start for the senior on her senior day. So like I said, those Terps are going to continue to roll through this lineup. And again, little things.
This looked like probably the best height coming off the table of the three so far.
Yeah. And, she might have looked to find that landing like a little bit better in the long run. Try to find that stick. May have been a little bit off to the side, but I believe that men's is the only area. Men's vaulting, if you go outside lines, you'll get a deduction. But the judges may take a little bit just for not being centered on the mat on her landing.
Kirsten Peterman opened with a 9-7 for Maryland on vault as we look over at William and Mary and one of their freshman all-arounders, Caroline Capone.
And William and Mary is another one that has seen a really big surge with their freshmen in a lot of their events. I mean, Aaliyah Kerr on Friday went 9-9 on floor and shared a piece of that floor title. So they've got some really impressive young talent coming in.
Back to Maryland now, Morgan Bixler.
Huge, clean Yurchenko layout full, just the one step back. Looked like she was looking for that stick, but again, she had great height and distance. I think she got a really good meet in the middle between both the height and the distance on this one. One more look at it here. Just like Kevin said before, really, you can tell, fighting for those landings. And a controlled step will give you a much better score than a wild one, so I think Maryland should definitely be happy with it.
Yeah, Maryland has been a solid vaulting team this year. Average just under 48.7, their best a 48.850. As we look back to Penn on the balance beam, up third for the Quakers, Kira Levy.
Front toss. Unfortunately, it comes off on that one. I could tell her hips were kind of off from one side. She fought for it, though. Going to get back up and keep on going.
So this is after a 9-6 to open the meet from Kelly Tan and a 9-6-5 from Ali Podsednik. And unfortunately, just a tough routine for Levy.
Yeah, and sometimes when you have that kind of front-back series, if you're off your rhythm, it gets a little tricky.
There is Alicia Farina with a beautiful Yurchenko layout full for Maryland.
Yeah, and she's another one of those power freshmen that's come in and made a huge impact already. She's been a consistent vaulter in this lineup, and we'll see her on a couple other events, and her gymnastics is just so powerful, and it really stands out, I think, no matter what arena, where she is, it really stands out, and another beautiful, clean vault that Maryland can add for their day to kick it off.
So we've got one left for Maryland, and that will be Sarah Fowler. We'll see all three of Maryland's seniors this afternoon. Already saw Emily Brockmuller earlier. As we get to check in for the first time with Kentucky on the bars. This is Sydney Dukes up fourth in the Kentucky lineup. May have gotten ahead of ourselves there. Danae Davis up third.
She had a huge dismount. She had that full twisting double-A dismount. Just took a step. Fowler back on vault to close things out. Another big vault, maybe a little bit of a pike down. I think that's, maybe one of the biggest pikes I saw, and she would have laid that out. She might have found that stick, but she just had that hop back. So it should be another consistent vault score. And that's a great 6-for-6 rotation for them to kick things off today.
Yeah, we come back to that word we mentioned in the open, that consistency for Maryland, and they showed it there. 6 Yurchenko layout fulls, but you do them well, and you're going to put up a good number. As we look at bars, that is Sydney Dukes. That is Alex Highland.
Always tricky with these quad meets.
I'm looking at my vault. I'm looking at my Kentucky vault lineup. That's the problem. We're in rotation 1, Kentucky on bars. And Penn on beam will be following a fall from Kira Levy. So Caroline Moore getting ready to go.
And Caroline Moore has been a great competitor for Penn as far as I know. She's put up some big numbers. And this is Leah Slowboden. She will be their exhibitionist on vault. Another Yurchenko layup full, step back. Great work from that senior. She gets a chance to exhibition that event on her, special senior day. We'll see her later, I believe, on floor, which is really her specialty. So great for her, though, to add that second event, even in exhibition, on that last day. Or not the technical last day, but on her special senior day.
I'll tell you what, always impressive to see an exhibition vault like that, as good as it was, because that's something that puts pressure on you when you've got a seventh vault that's capable of probably going into the lineup and scoring. That really breeds some competition in the gym week in, week out.
Especially at this point in the season. I mean, bodies are hurting, things are aching. And again, as you and I talk about all the time with gymnastics, is anything can happen. There's things that can happen in a slight instant, and to know you have that person that can step in and fill that spot and really make it a good addition to the lineup without any worry is super important.
So let's catch up on some vault scores here for Maryland as they've come in. Kirsten Peterman opened her day in the all-around with a 9.7. Deanna Magro followed with a 9.7. Emily Brockmuller, 9.775. Morgan Bixler, a 9.825. That tied her for the team lead. Alicia Farina, 9.775. And Sarah Fowler in the anchor spot, 9.825, matching Bixler for the team high. And a new season high for Maryland, 48.9 on vault. A very good start for the Terrapins.
Definitely. And like I said, I think it came down to those little things. Having watched them throughout the season, they really are hitting that stride, like we've said already. But it's the point where they're so comfortable competing that they can have time to mentally focus on those little things. And Aaliyah Carr, as I mentioned earlier, is up now on floor for William & Mary, has put up some big numbers for them. Her 9.9 score that she had previously had is, I think, 5th all-time in their program history, so she, as a freshman, is coming in and making a strong impact. William & Mary's had a handful of conference championships in recent years even, so, a successful team in their conference, a successful team in the region. They've sent girls to NCAA regionals, I think every year for the past few years. Round off handspring double tuck. A little bit of a low chest, but makes it around.
Looking at Penn on beam, they got a nice bounce back from Caroline Moore, who scored a 9.7 after the fall from Levy.
Now getting a look at Nicole Swarbalis, who is a sophomore. She comes out of, I believe she's from up in Massachusetts, so not super close to home for her today, but she's got great lines. She's a beautiful, lengthy gymnast, got a great handspring layout step out there. Small bounce check on that side aerial, pulls it right up. Swarbalis is an athlete, I believe last year I was there. She actually got injured mid-season on floor and has already come back and is, making a good impact on this team. Some nice leap to a back tuck connection there. Just getting ready for a dismount. Round off, double full, just a small hop. Really great routine for them, especially after having that fall early on in the lineup. Kind of put some extra pressure on the rest of the girls in the lineup, but they're handling it well.
Yeah, Penn doing very well otherwise. Right now, if they can hit one more beam routine, they'll drop the 8.425 from Levy, and all the other scores are 9.6 or better. So the Quakers are in fine shape at the moment. Back to William and Mary on floor, Olivia O'Connor.
One of the older athletes on this team. I believe when I was still around, I think she was just a freshman on the team. So, you know, she's one of the ones that William and Mary will probably look to count on to be a more consistent competitor. She's been around. She's had many seasons under her belt. I believe she has a conference championship under her belt. So an athlete sure to look for from the tribe. Round off whip, half front full, super clean.
Making things somewhat interesting, by the way, Kentucky had to count a fall on bars. They actually, their final two, Alex Highland and Molly Korth, two of their rock-solid all-arounders, both fell after they hit their first four. Their two high scores were 9.8s from their first two routines, just couldn't sustain it after that. So that really opens this meet wide open.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, maybe I didn't want to jinx them with, you know, name dropping earlier, but, you know, those are people that you would expect to put up those huge numbers. They've had tons of accolades, but yeah, now even these two teams are really rolling. William and Mary and Penn, they're having great starts, and you know, now Kentucky's going to be on the comeback. They're going to be trying to fight their way back and gain a little extra tenths, so really changes the game for them in terms of moving forward to their next event.
And the final beam routine for Penn, this is their senior, Rachel Graham.
Another great beam worker for Penn. Front toss beat jump there, super solid.
And she's got a career-high 9.85, her best this season as a senior, 9.775.
Just a dismount, round off, 1.5. I'd give it a stick. I think it was a pretty good set, and now, as we mentioned earlier, they can drop that Mr. Team from Keira Levy, and you know, no worries on their end. They're one event down without counting a fall, so that's all they can do from here is just move on, and they're going to a really strong event for them, moving to floor, so they're in good shape, I'd say.
And we've got two left on floor for William and Mary, Bree Gironda and Taylor White. We'll follow the routine we just saw a moment ago from Olivia O'Connor, which scored a 9.725 for the tribe. Aaliyah Kerr right now the high score for William and Mary with a 9.775. And Rachel Graham, the beam routine we saw a moment ago from Penn, she just matched her season high, 9.775, a 48.375, and Penn's going to open half a tenth better than Kentucky in the first rotation. So when you talk about a sport where anything can happen, there you go. And looking back at William and Mary now, Bree Gironda, senior.
Yes, another one of those older athletes. I believe she competes all around, or has in the past. So she's a really, really great athlete. So far, so good in this floor set.
And Bree had a 9.775 on Friday night. Remember that Maryland and William and Mary saw each other just 2 days ago down in George Washington. And this is an exhibition beam routine for the Penn Quakers.
Switch lead beat jump into a split three-quarter, maybe a little bit of a low back leg there.
This is freshman Caroline Mitch, who we'll see later in competition on the uneven bars, fourth rotation for Penn.
Layout gainer full, just a small hop back. another good one for the Quakers again. And as a freshman, you're really trying to be a sponge, soak up any experience you can get out on the competition floor. And we will see her in a full lineup later, but it's great for her to add another event, just get some more experience. Even if she won't ever see a lineup the rest of the season on that particular event, next season she'll say, hey, you need me on beam, I was there last year, I'm good to go.
And I think road experience too, and you could speak to this obviously from your time as a gymnast, different equipment, different lighting, different backdrop in the arena. The more different positions you can put yourself in, I think the better.
Oh, exactly. And you can practice as many pressure sets as you want in the gym, but nothing really compares to going to a very different environment and really getting out there and doing stuff. And like you said, from my own experience, I will say lights is probably one of the biggest things for me. They were always, if they were too bright, if they were right over the beam, if they were to the side, it's a weird thing out there sometimes.
Looks like a 9.775 for Bree Gironda of William & Mary. So the Tribe has one floor routine left, and that is freshman Taylor White, her season and career high, 9.65, which she posted last week.
So her first pass goes round off handspring double pike. Super clean. Looks like all the girls on the William & Mary team put in a little WM in their routine. I think you'll see a lot of teams that do those types of things. It's become a really popular thing to do, and I like it. Build some.
You got the Gator Chomp in Florida.
Exactly. Add some school pride. I think sometimes we have trouble with that in gymnastics. We got these leotards on. It's not necessarily like a jersey, so anything we can do to build that school spirit is good. 1.5 layout. Another super clean. Landing super controlled. And great to see out of such a young athlete, too. I think one of the most common things I think you'll see out of a freshman is just, I think the nerves give them a little bit of lack of control on some of their skills. So great to see her being confident in everything that she's doing and controlling it. So last pass coming up here. Round off handspring double tuck. Pretty good landing. Great routine to close for the Tribe.
So Maryland will have the clear lead after rotation one with a new season best 48.9 on vault. High scorers, pair of 9.825s from Morgan Bixler and Sarah Fowler, making the most of her senior day so far. And it's going to be very tight between Kentucky, Penn, and William & Mary, depending on where that score for Taylor White falls. Right now, Penn's got a lead of 0.5 tenth over Kentucky, 48.375 for the Quakers on balance beam, and Kentucky forced to count a fall on the uneven bars will open with a 48.325. And again, that routine from Taylor White probably good enough actually to put William & Mary into second place. It's going to be close. All three of those should be within a tenth or so of each other, but have to be impressed by what Maryland did to start this afternoon on vault.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Everything was so clean. They were really fighting for every tenth, and I think they knew that coming into this meet where they were going up against, a top 10 team in the nation. They were going to have to get every single little tenth that they could, and they were very obviously doing that. And, they had some big scores. They got over those 9.8 marks. And, they set themselves up really great for a great afternoon, and seniors are doing well, so I think they should have no complaints going into bars, which is another great event for them.
So we'll take our first break of the afternoon. Your standings after one rotation: Maryland in first, 48.9. William & Mary in second, 48.450. Penn in third, 48.375. And Kentucky in fourth, 48.325. Kentucky goes to beam, Penn to floor, William & Mary to vault, and the Maryland Terrapins will be on bars when we come back to Xfinity Center. You're watching live coverage of Maryland Gymnastics on BTN To Go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp and Lauren Capone with you here on BTN To Go. Maryland heading to the uneven bars as they've got the lead at the end of one rotation. coming off of a season-best 48.9 on vault. They'll try to keep it going on bars, which statistically to this point this season has been the Terrapins' best event, so they've got to be feeling pretty good about where they sit right now, Lauren.
Oh, definitely, and this bar rotation, it's breathtaking bars is what I like to think of it as. It's all of them have just the most beautiful lines. They really pay attention to handstands, which, as any NCAA gymnastics fan knows, can add up. If you're not hitting those handstands, you will not get the score you want on bars. So I think they've paid attention to details, and it has paid off for them so far this season, and I can't imagine why it wouldn't continue today.
We had a slight score correction. Kelly Tan was moved from a 9.6 to a 9.65 for Penn on beam, so they actually opened with a 48.425, still in third place, Kentucky in fourth. Leading off for Maryland on bars, senior Sarah Fowler.
One with great lines. You can see that bail down to the low bar, straight up to handstand. Checks that handstand. Giant full, double tuck, and a stick. So 2 out of 3 for the senior are home runs. Should be a great score to lead off that lineup.
Yeah, she is having a memorable senior day already here inside Xfinity Center. She opened with the team best 9.825 in the anchor position on vault, and she opens bars here beautifully, as you can see this double tuck. And you don't need to see her feet to know that one was a stuck landing. That was a no-doubter to open the bar set with for Maryland. The rest of their lineup up second will be Kirsten Peterman. Third, sophomore Megan McClelland. Fourth, Chanel Evelyn Nee will be fifth, and Alicia Farina will be sixth. So Maryland in good shape, and one of the other big storylines here, Lauren, in this second rotation is how Kentucky will bounce back after having to count a fall on bars. They opened in fourth place and want to get it back on balance beam, but we'll check in first with Penn on floor. Kelly Flavin, the freshman, leading off the Penn lineup, and this is the Quakers' best event statistically as well. So a lot of teams are in positions of strength right now in this second rotation, places where they feel good about their ability to score.
Yeah, and I remember we had seen them make some huge floor scores, and they really just, every routine hits it out of the park.
Here's William and Mary on vault. Sophie Harris.
Solid Yurchenko layout. A lot of times when you have those vaults that might not be the Yurchenko fulls or the 1.5s, you got to focus on the little details, so she just had the small step back, pretty good vault.
So compared to that Yurchenko layout full, which starts with a 9.95 start value, that vault for Harris will be taken out of a 9.8 start value. And we are back to bars now. Up second, freshman Kirsten Peterman.
Huge straddled Jaeger. Bail to handstand, back down. And she'll come back up for her dismount. She's been moved around a few times in the lineup, but she's put up some really, really big scores. Double A with a stick, another cold stick. And they've done it all season. I've seen it every time I've been here. It's like they go there and it's like this switch flips on and their feet are glued.
I mean, the word today so far, we've seen now 8 routines, 9 counting the exhibition, just so clean. Mm-hmm. Everything for Maryland is they are minimizing those deductions and just not giving away those tenths here and there. So a fine start as Fowler and Peterman both stick. Looking back to floor exercise for Penn. This is Rachel Graham up second for the Quakers. The rest of their lineup behind Graham is Kira Levy, Nicole Sorbalis, Caroline Moore, and Alex Hartke in the anchor spot.
A nice double pike to open. Had a little bit of a better chest than we might have seen from first rotation. And those, again, little things that would add up. If you got those low chest landings, it's going to give you a bunch of little things that add up, and then that's where you'll fall behind. But she's looking pretty good. Some clean leaps there on that side.
Maryland scores coming in. They've opened with a 9.7 from Fowler and a 9.775 from Peterman.
Whip half front layout, nice and clean.
And back on bars now up third for Maryland, sophomore Megan McClelland.
Nice to Tkachev there. She's got great lines. I always love watching her on this event. Clear hit bail down to the low bar. She'll transition up one more time. Great handstand work. Gearing up for her dismount. Double A. And just a step back, but again, super clean. super clean. It's all I can, it stands out so much when you have put attention on the details.
Mentioned that statistically this is Maryland's best event. They're ranked 32nd in the country on bars. Their best performance this year, a 49.150. And they are in fine position right now, halfway through their bars lineup, with Chanel Augeron up next, and we'll check in with Kentucky on the beam. Up third is freshman Haley Poland. Kentucky has started this set well. Corey Reckenmacher had a 9.75. Katie Stewart had a 9.775.
I was actually watching Haley in warm-ups, and she's got a really, really unique style on beam, which I think is really great to see, not just, as we might say, cookie-cutter type of style on beam. Just in terms of her dance and her pace on beam, it's very interesting, and I really liked watching it. So excited to see what else she can put together in this set.
And echoing a familiar thought, this is Kentucky's statistical best event of the four, so everyone in a position of feeling comfortable, and that's what Kentucky needs right now after an uncharacteristic start on bars.
For a freshman, she looks super comfortable. She did stick or dismount. She did gainer pike off the end and got that stick, so they should keep climbing with those scores, because that was a really nice set all around.
So we go back to Maryland on bars, Chanel Augeron.
Straddled Jaeger. She does a beautiful pack salto down to the low bar. Fighting for those handstands, gearing up for the dismount. Double A, small step back, another clean set, gets through it.
And that was after a 9.75 from McClelland before her, so Maryland's had 3 in that 9.7 range so far.
You can see Coach Brett Nelligan back there fired up about his bar lineup, as he should be.
You can tell how he feels about that routine from Augeron. 2 left, Evelyn Nee and Alicia Farina. Back to Penn on floor exercise.
Kiera Levy here probably trying to bounce back from that missed beam routine. But she's a great athlete. She's a great gymnast. Strong leaps there, switch side Popa.
And Penn is open with a 9.675 from Kelly Flavin and a 9.575 from Rachel Graham.
Yeah, and if they're going to keep themselves in this, they'll definitely want to try and get some scores up over that 9.7 range. But, this is an athlete that could do it for sure. Front Rudy accentuates that stick there for that. Good set for Penn, rolling through that lineup.
Augeron had a 9.775 for Maryland on bars, so up 5th of 6 is Evelyn Nee.
It's a great specialist for them on this event. Nice straddled Jaeger. You can tell her hips were all the way up at the high bar when she caught. Another great pack down to the low bar. She's just got the dismount left. And if it's like anything else we've seen today, it should be pretty good. Yep, there it is. Over and over again, those landings they must practice them over and over again, because that's something that doesn't just happen, that easily for them over and over again.
And the important thing for Maryland now, they've hit their first 5 with no problem, and you let your freshman Alicia Farina just go up there with absolutely no pressure, can compete free, and really go for it in that last routine.
And she is averaging over a 9.8 on the event, which is huge. And she set that 9.9 last week for the first time. It was her first 9.9, but it is her career high in her very first season. So there's no reason why she couldn't reach all the way up there again like she did last week. And, like you said, no pressure on her now, so why not really go for it?
Yeah, well, she actually then matched it on Friday night down at GW, so she's coming off back-to-back 9.9s right now. So an example of a freshman that's no longer competing like a freshman. She's hit another gear at this point in the season. and the scores have given her the room to build nicely. As we get the number coming up now for Evelyn Nee, it's a 9-8, so that's the high mark so far for Maryland on bars, as we check in with Penn's Nicole Sorbalis.
1.5 punch layout. She does a really great job. Like I might have said before when we were watching her on beam, those long lines that she has, you know, they've really choreographed this routine to show that off, which I think is great because, you know, not everyone has them, so it's nice to show them off when you do.
Not naming any names,
Yeah.
present company excluded, of course.
I'm not bitter or anything.
So here is Alicia Farina after a 9.825 from Evelyn Nee. I shorted her a 1/4 of a tenth.
That beautiful blind change to that straddled Jaeger. Nice bail to handstand. Grabs that last handstand. A little too much juice on that dismount, but still another clean routine. She just had that hop back, and that's really all I could see from it. She had great handstands, great lines. So even though it might not have been the stick, it was still a beautiful dismount. Her second flip is above the high bar. It's crazy. So like I said before on vault, she's such a powerful gymnast, and that stands out. And it really makes an impression, I think, on not just the judges, but the crowd and everyone around. So I think that's what really gives her those great scores.
Yeah, she had a really nice pace and a nice flow to that routine, too. You could tell even on that shoot over, just didn't rush it, let the handstand work itself out, and didn't panic, didn't get quick on anything. So for a freshman to be that composed mid-routine, you got to be impressed. And that will do it for Maryland. That gets them to the halfway point. And they'll be very pleased with their start, and they've hit 12 for 12. And it's going to be a 9.825 for Farina to match Evelyn Nee, a 48.950 on bars for Maryland. So just a shade off of their season high, but a very nice 97.850 for Maryland at the halfway point, and they're in good shape going to beam and floor. And Kentucky on beam has bounced back nicely after some struggles on bars. Alex Highland, their anchor, in the middle of her routine.
And it's an incredible routine to watch. She's ranked number 2 in the country on this event, behind only, the notorious Maggie Nichols. So she's doing great for herself in that position.
Highland.
Getting a look at Brock Mueller here on bars. As an exhibition routine, great. It's her senior day. She got out there, got a great bar set in.
And I love getting the seniors out there in exhibitions and just, the more chances you have on this home floor, so special to be able to compete. We saw Slobodin on vault, and now Brock Mueller gets a bars routine, which is a lot of fun.
And Brock Mueller hasn't traditionally been a bar worker. She really has some high scores on vault, beam, and floor. So for her to even get out there and do that, an event that she hasn't traditionally done in her 4 years here, she should get a standing ovation just for, getting out there and making the most of her senior day and getting that routine in.
So Maryland 6 for 6 on bars. As you can see the scores there. First 4 in that 9-7 range. With Fowler a 9.7, that gets dropped. McClellan to 9.75, 9.775s from Peterman and Agaran, and then the big scores from the 5 and 6 spots, Nee and Farina each with 9.825s. We will go back over to floor exercise now for Penn.
Caroline Moore in the middle of her set here, looking pretty comfortable and confident so far. Penn's got a really great set of routines going. I love their mix of music and performance aspects. It's all really powerful stuff, and I think it really stands out. front handspring, front layout half. It's a nice, clean pass. It's probably a good countable pass for the Quakers. I think I did that pass in my floor routine, and I know it was always like my nice breath of fresh air that I didn't have to worry about too much.
And you need that in the midst of a floor routine. That's a grind.
You do. And if you are opening and closing with some big passes, it's nice. Closes with a front Rudy, lands with those feet together. Really nice work there.
So that is Caroline Moore. They've got one routine left. Junior Alex Hartke. High score right now for Penn is a 9-7. Kentucky, by the way, bounced back in a big way on being 49-175 for the Wildcats, highlighted by a 9-9 from Alex Highland in that anchor spot. They had a 9-8-5 from Sydney Dukes and a 9-8-7-5 from Molly Court. So they showed no ill effects, and they've definitely tightened things up here on Maryland as the Terrapins' lead shrinks to just 3.5 tenths right now at the midway point. 97-8-5-0 for Maryland, 97-5 for Kentucky. Alex Hartke in that anchor spot for Penn is a gymnast capable of putting up big numbers. We saw it earlier this year. She's got a season and career high of 9.875. And Caroline Moore, who we just saw, scores a 9.725. In another situation, no falls. They hit their first 5, and now you let your anchor go out there and try to do what she does best.
Yeah, and if she can, hit a routine like she can, they'll really boost up their score. I mean, they're already over that 48 mark, which is great for them. So if she can go out there and do a top-of-the-line Alex Hartke performance, then they'll be sitting pretty again with a solid score on their best event. Opens up with a huge back 1.5 to front full. Big twisting pass, but they're super high. They have a lot of height. A really dynamic pass. One and a half punch tuck. So looking pretty clean so far with one pass to go. Again, another one with a super powerful routine. It's, sometimes you see some of the more party style gymnastics college floor routines, but hers definitely takes a more serious tone. Finishes with that front Rudy. And they'll definitely be able to bump their score up with that routine. Maybe drop that 9.575 from Rachel Graham and really, push it even farther and get them another solid base halfway through this meet.
Yeah, Penn sitting in third place right now and should add a couple of tenths after that routine from Alex Hartke. So it's become at the midway point that close battle for first that you always want to see. Maryland is hanging on to their lead at the moment. They lead by 3.5 tenths over Kentucky, 97-8-5-0 for Maryland, 97-5 for Kentucky. And the Wildcats, we know they're the number 9 team in the nation. They've got big scores, and they've got floor and vault left, 2 events where they'll feel very good. But Maryland right now is not blinking. They have not made a mistake. They haven't dropped tenths, and if they can keep that going, it could be a real tight finish.
And, maybe them creeping back up is good. You don't want Maryland to feel too comfortable. 2 events in, like you said, haven't made a mistake yet. You don't want that to be in their head. And hopefully they'll just take their confidence and just channel it and do the gymnastics that they know how to do and continue the great afternoon that they're having without any extra pressure. Stay in their bubble and just do their thing and keep on rolling.
Alex Hartke scored a 9.775 for Penn, and the Quakers have a 48.475 on floor. So here are your scores at the halfway point. Maryland in first, 97.850. Kentucky in second, 97.5. Penn in third, 96.9. And William and Mary in fourth, a 96.425 after a 47 9.75 on vault. So with that, we'll step away for a break and come back with the third rotation. The Terrapins will be on beam, Kentucky to floor, Penn to vault, and William and Mary to bars when we come back to Xfinity Center. You're watching live coverage on BTN to go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp and Lauren Capone with you here on BTN to go. We are getting ready for the third rotation. As you can see, Maryland will be on balance beam. A fine start for the Terrapins, a 48.9 on vault, followed that up with a 48.950 on bars, and will now try to build and hit that magic 49 number on beam. Their lineup led off by freshman Kirsten Peterman and freshman Deanna Magro, followed by sophomore Amanda Bertorello, junior Dominica Trotter, junior Evelyn Nee, and senior Sarah Fowler, who is having an excellent afternoon. It is senior day for Maryland, and the Terrapins are certainly making the most of it thus far. They are in the lead over number 9 Kentucky, as well as Penn and William and Mary, though that lead for Maryland has shrunk to just 3.5 tenths, so not a lot of margin for error as you go to balance beam. Kentucky is on floor, Penn on vault, and William and Mary on bars here in our third rotation of 4 from Xfinity Center.
Yeah, and those 3 tenths could come back real quickly. I mean, with a floor rotation like Kentucky's, you know, they've had some huge scores.
Yeah, 49.525 season high, which I believe was last week in that program's first ever win over Alabama. So got to watch out for Kentucky there.
But again, anything could happen.
Yep.
You know, it's a routine by routine, and we'll kick it off here with Peterman for the Terps. Nice wolf turn. Love a good wolf turn. A nice side stummy there, a little bit of a shake, but pulls it up and stays on. Now she'll kind of look to settle into this routine and really bring things back after a little bit, probably of a shake. Got her heart racing a little bit there, probably. Handspring layout, step out right up, nothing there. So yes, settled, definitely.
Oh, you talk about in-routine adjustments, and this is a freshman doing it too.
Yeah, she's got some of her big things out of the way, so tail end of this routine. Nice leap combination there. You can tell she's really working to get all those little tenths, really work to get all of those, all the way out to 180. She'll gear up for a dismount here. Round off, double full, almost a stick, just a little hop to the side. A great start for them. Aside from that one balance check, it was a really, really great routine to start this lineup off with.
Yeah, very poised, as we said, to be able to pick it up, and just got stronger and stronger as it went on. So close to that stick. We'll get Peterman scores as Deanna Magro gets ready to go second for Maryland. Kentucky on floor exercise, trying to close the gap. They open with a 9.8 from Katie Carlisle. The rest of their lineup, Corey Reckenmacher, Katie Stewart, Alex Highland, Sydney Dukes, and Molly Korth in the anchor spot. And it's a 9.6 for Peterman to open, and the vast majority of that deduction coming on the break on the side summy.
Yeah, it was a pretty big one, you know, and her chest was down and everything like that, so. With the way Kentucky's going, they'll definitely want to probably try to drop that 9.65 and hope that everything else bumps up past it, so.
Yeah, everything Maryland has counted today has been 9.7 or above. They'll look to keep that going. Back-to-back freshmen here opening on beam. This is Magro.
Series right off the bat. Handspring layout, step out right up. She had great amplitude on that. So I think sometimes you see them, those handspring layout step outs almost a little flat, but hers really had some rise to it. Good to see. She goes handstand back layout, step out to a beat jump. A nice unique combination there. Add some little difficult bonus to her routine. Goes switch leap, straddle 3/4. Really solid through this whole thing. Makes it through the full turn. It'll sneak up on you, I'll tell you. All she's got left is the dismount. Round off. Another double full with a stick. A huge set from the freshman. That was beautiful. There wasn't a lot I saw in that one. I don't know from your angle if you saw much, but.
And you could tell it from her reaction and the reaction of her teammates. Watch this on that dismount. And in
Sarah
the
Feller
right
in the background. She got to save some of that energy for her own routine, but I probably would have been the same way if I was out there on the floor.
And when you can throw two freshmen, and the number one spot on beam is always so tough, and you love as a coach to be able to have a veteran there, someone who's been through that, who's got those nerves of steel. But to throw two freshmen, Peterman and Magro, right into the mix there, 1-2 on beam, shows the confidence that the Maryland coaching staff has in this incoming freshman class. They described it as one of the best incoming classes in program history, and they have backed it up. So they're going to make it 3 freshmen in a row with Alicia Farina, but we'll check in quickly with Penn on vault.
Ali Posednik, I believe. I think she might have touched her knee down. It was hard to tell from our angle. Normally a really great vaulter for Penn. She's got a nice Yurchenko full. Yeah, it looks like Maryland might have made this a last-minute change.
Yeah, Amanda Bertarello was listed in our lineup pre-meet, so somewhere they'll make that switch, and so they'll actually begin with 3 freshmen in a row on beam. 9.725 was the score for Magro. And so here is Alicia Farina.
Handspring layout, step out, right up. Again, not a lot I could have taken on that. And Bertarello is normally a really great beam worker for Maryland, so I'm sure there might be a little bit of pressure on Farina here to fill that void. Looking at the last couple meets, I think that Bertarello might be a little injured, or maybe it's a sickness thing. I know that's been going around most teams, so maybe they just kept her out today as a precautionary thing, because she is on the sidelines, and I think we're supposed to see her on floor as well. So, but right now, Farina looking good. Even if it was a last-minute change, she's handling it really well thus far. Side aerial with a small balance check. Beat jump tuck 3/4, a little shuffle of the feet. I think you can tell a little bit she might be a little bit nervous, but if you're a last-minute throw-in, I don't blame you. There's a lot of pressure as it is, and then at the last second for a coach to come up and be, hey, Alicia, you're going in. Round off, 1.5, just a hop. A great set, though. Makes it through, just a couple little things. It should be right up there with the other scores that they've had so far.
And that's the key when you look at this night potentially coming down to maybe even less than a tenth, the way they're tracking right now between Maryland and Kentucky. Every big deduction that turns into a small one there, what could be a big bobble or balance check turns into a small one. It's a great fight by the freshman. Kentucky just had a little bit of an issue on floor with Katie Stewart, who scored a 9.5, so the Wildcats will want to drop that number. They had opened with a 9.8 from Katie Carlisle and a 9.75 from Corey Reckenmacher. So Kentucky at the midpoint. They've got their big scorers still left, Alex Highland, Sydney Dukes, and Molly Korth.
And if they're not used to maybe grabbing a 9.5 in their lineup, that could be one thing that adds some pressure to them as well. So we'll have to see how Alex Highland, responds now in her set.
Highland's season and career high is a 9.9.
Beautiful double pike, brings her chest right up. That's the type of landing you want to see every time. She's got really unique dance elements. You know, those things that stand out are what put these athletes up into that 9-9, paired with their incredible execution. Those are the types of things. And, you know, with such a competitive landscape in NCAA gymnastics today, it is that full package that will get you those scores above 9.85, 9.9, you know, hoping to get up to that 10. So Highland is one that can definitely do it, and as she's proven, she's done it plenty of times before. Second pass, round off 1.5 punch layout. A little shuffle of her foot down at the end there, but we'll see. We'll keep you updated on how the last pass goes, or that was her last pass, so a made routine for them as we flip back over to Maryland.
This is Dominica Trotter.
Front aerial split jump to kick things off. She's another one of the specialists that Maryland puts in, as we saw a couple specialists on bars. A nice beam specialist, and for very good reason, a great series there.
Alicia Farina before her had a 9.4 as you see a little bit of an extra balance check on that full turn. Must have been a misconnection in that routine because the start value was a 9.8, so that was where she got into some trouble.
And the coaches do have the option in that case to send in an inquiry if they felt as though the connection did happen, try to get some of those tenths back. Gainer pike, I'd give it a stick, a really great routine. They've been rolling through. They've been getting these hit sets, and that's what they need. And you can tell they're fighting for the little things, as we've talked about over and over again.
Another look at dismount here for Trotter.
A half a shuffle back. If I had to give it anything, a half a shuffle of the foot.
That's the technical term, of course. So right now, Maryland in the position where they're going to count a 9.6 from Peterman with that 9.4, but they need some big numbers now from their 5 and 6 beam workers, Evelyn Nee and then Sarah Fowler, who is in the middle of a terrific day. Kentucky hasn't been able to put up quite the numbers they would like to on floor either. Alex Highland, we caught the end of her routine a moment ago. She scored a 9.7. Sydney Dukes out there right now for the Wildcats, and here she is.
Yeah, and that last pass from Highland had a little bit of a slip, and we didn't catch her first pass, but you know, those little things, as we've talked about, add up, and that could have been her difference. But a beautiful pass there from Dukes.
And after a 9.65 from Dominica Trotter, here is Evelyn Nee, the junior.
Switch leap straddle. Handspring layout 2 feet, changing things up in terms of flight series. It's a great series from personal experience. Another one that adds that unique kind of dance, single skill element to add some difficulty, get more bonus. She'll gear up for her dismount here. Round off double full, just a hop back. They've been rolling through, really, really consistent throughout this beam lineup. Hopefully someone can push over that 9.8 mark. I think that's what they would really like to see. And if anyone could do it, it would be senior Sarah Fowler. You know, I'm almost sad she's not an all-arounder. After watching her, I love the way she attacks her gymnastics routines, and she's got great gymnastics. She shows up, she's passionate, and I love it about her. So I almost would have loved to see her do a full routine. You know, I don't think that's traditionally been her thing, but, you know, maybe one day, even though it's her last year.
It's never too late.
Yeah,
you throw a new trick in there.
It's never too late.
And Fowler coming off of a great performance down at GW on Friday night, season and career high 9.925, and Maryland could really use one of those right now. So they've struggled to put up the same level that they did on vault and bars.
And in my opinion, their routines have been great. I actually thought a couple of them would have gone a little bit higher than they did. But maybe we're getting some tight judging today on beam, but you know, on beam, it's very easy to have little things add up. You know, just a missed pointed toe, a little shuffle, a slow connection can even get you some points taken off. So
Molly Korth is off and running on floor exercise. Just started with a beautiful pike full in. coming off of a 9.825 from Sydney Dukes, and we are ready to go now on balance beam with Sarah Fowler, following a 9.675 from Evelyn Nee.
And in this case, where Fowler's coming off such a great career high score, you hope she just kind of copies and pastes and, you know, does her own thing up there. Handspring layout, step out, gorgeous. The funny thing about scores, I feel like they can get in your head sometimes, but, you know, being a seasoned athlete like this, like Fowler is, I think she'll be just fine. Handstand to a layout, step out. Switch leap, tuck full, glued.
She got that all the way around, too.
Yeah, you see sometimes people kind of skirt that around. They get that scooch, another official term, the scooch.
Yes.
Just a dismount, round off, double full, and a stick. Like I said, she wasn't in her head. She, you know, you can tell sometimes in these athletes, you know, I had this big routine last week. You know, they almost try too hard to do it again, but she was very relaxed, composed, and this should be a huge score.
Well, and the other element, too, is senior day, because we've seen terrific gymnasts on senior day try to press. They want that 10. They want something in there. Luckily, it's not their last meet. Maybe that is what helps take some of the pressure off of it. If so, good thought by the coaches to kind of sneak in senior day on the second to last meet.
Everybody should do that.
But, you know, sometimes you see them press and try too hard to be perfect, try too hard to stick everything. But Fowler's just had an incredible day. Started with the 9.825 on vault in the anchor position, 9.7 to open on bars, which we thought could have gone a little bit higher, and then a beautiful, beautiful beam set to finish off for Maryland when they really needed one. Kentucky has wrapped up on floor. We've got exhibitions for Maryland and Kentucky here. And looks like a 9.85 for Fowler.
And this is Emily Brockmuller going in exhibition for the Terps. Again, she's doing some things she normally doesn't. She's a great vault and floor worker. She's actually been in and out of the beam lineup for the Terps this season. Has gotten herself a nice 9.75 in her actual, first performance of the season a few weeks ago. A nice cat leap front aerial to a split jump. So I really like when they add those unique kind of dance skill combinations. A lot of the girls on this team do it, and I think it makes them stand out. Handspring layout, step out. Another solid series. Switch leap, split jump, a great, great leap series. And, you know, you have to imagine that in this exhibition routine now, on her senior day, she's just trying to enjoy it. And I think it's showing here with her dismount, gainer full, and a stick. And, you know, that might have been a routine they would have wanted to put in the lineup. There wasn't a lot of baubles in that one. So, but, you know, like we've talked about earlier with these seniors going out there in these exhibition routines, it's something that they really get to enjoy, and it's memories they get to look back on. So great on Emily Brockmuller for going out there and hitting a great set like that.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of exhibitions that would toe that line of perhaps being able to get into the top six. So you want to be, on one hand, you want to be to the point where you're kind of getting those lineups set and get them where you want them. But on the other hand, competition in the gym is always great. Maybe not so much if you're a gymnast, but if you're a coach, certainly you want to see that competitiveness, and you want week in, week out to be, have gymnasts competing for those top six spots.
Oh, yeah, and you would hope as a gymnast, your whole team would kind of understand that the in-gym competition is only to make each other better. It's healthy, I think, on a team to have each other want to push each other and, have yourself a little worry of, everyone should be going out there and doing the best that they can do, and you want that depth, and they clearly have it, and I think that's a great showing and a testament to their coaching staff and how their team has grown throughout this season.
Well, it doesn't get much better than this here on Senior Day for Maryland. We're going to go to the final rotation with the Terrapins trailing now the number 9 team in the nation, Kentucky, by less than a tenth. 146-425 for the Wildcats, 146-350 for Maryland. So that is just about as close as you can be, 3/4 of a tenth separating Maryland and number 9 Kentucky. And we'll be back with the thrilling finish here from Xfinity Center in College Park. Maryland to floor, Kentucky to vault, Penn on bars, and William and Mary on beam when we continue. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp, Lauren Capone with you. Here is the floor lineup for the Maryland Terrapins here on Senior Day. They trail the number 9 Kentucky Wildcats by just 3/4 of a tenth. 146-425 for Kentucky, 146-350 for Maryland. That is just about as tight as you can be, except Penn and William and Mary are tied going into the last rotation. We said it would be close between those two, who entered just one spot apart in the national rankings, and this has lived up to the billing in every way. So here we go, beginning on floor for Maryland, sophomore Megan McClellan.
She's been a great leadoff for them. You know, she's settled in. She's not a freshman. I mean, we've talked about their freshmen not competing like freshmen, but opens up with that great double pike.
So McClellan will be followed by Kirsten Peterman, Leah Slobodin, Amanda Bertarello, Alicia Farina, and Emily Brockmuller, the senior, fittingly in that anchor spot on Senior Day. And Kentucky will know the number that Maryland has to hit because Kentucky's on vault. They're going to be done first.
And we kind of peeked over at their first vault from Alex Highland, and it was a pretty one. So
yeah, Kentucky is an excellent vault team. They're 19th in the nation on that event. So going to be tough for Maryland to make up 3/4 of a tenth somewhere in this rotation, but we shall see.
McClellan's look really good so far. She'll bring it home with one more pass here. Round off 1.5 punch layout. Great landing, great set to kick things off. It will be a battle for sure.
Yeah, while that was going on, Aubrey Rosa also stuck a Yurchenko layout full cold. So Kentucky is not giving an inch here on the road, and Maryland doing the same. And one of the things we've remarked on all day is just the gymnastics is so clean for Maryland, and they just really minimize the spots where they can give away those big deductions. And that's what you want in your leadoff. You want to set the table for the other 5. You want that nice starting point to build those scores off of. And you got to give McClellan credit. She went out there and did it. Kentucky opened with a 9-8 from Alex Highland. Score hasn't come up yet for Aubrey Rosa. Danae Davis up 3rd for the Wildcats. Good gosh, some height on that Yurchenko layout full.
I think I'm speechless.
She had time to order a cup of coffee and still stick the landing.
I could have done like underdoggy on that vault, like what you used to do on the swings in elementary school. I could have like ran underneath it and been totally fine, and I don't think she would have been bothered either.
And the score comes up for McClellan. It's a 9-6-7-5. And a big reaction from a very sizable contingent of Kentucky fans. At least one judge gave that last vault from Danae Davis a 9-9. Up 4th for Kentucky, Sydney Dukes. Yurchenko layout half as we go back to floor for Kirsten Peterman.
Yeah, you'll definitely continue to see this athlete's power on this event. She's got really fun music. I actually think I listened to this song on the way down here, so I'm into it. Super clean handspring double tuck. Peterman out of Canada, I believe, has come a long way over here to Maryland and has been doing incredible so far. Double pike as her second pass.
That's what you want. You want your freshmen to come in and raise the bar in terms of the consistency, in terms of the difficulty, and they've got a good one here coming in already in the all-around. She has been impressive.
She'll have one more pass to go here to bring things home. She's looked super clean so far. Even the dance looked really good. I can see a couple people in the audience dancing along, so that's got to give something for the judges to take note of too. She has a super unique last pass. She goes 1.5 punch half and right down to the floor. So a great routine for Peterman. They're going to keep on rolling there on floor, fighting for all those tenths. They're doing a great job.
That was after an opening 9.675 from Megan McClelland.
She might have cut that one a little bit close. Might get like, a tenth or two off on that. But other than that, she had a super clean routine and she made it through. So,
well, going to the floor is a nice way to cover it up, if nothing else.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of people do that now. A lot of gymnasts doing those unique passes that add jumps and things like that afterwards.
And to our right, Molly Korth just absolutely planted a Yurchenko layout half. That is the final routine for Kentucky, and they, no doubt, saved their best for last. 1.5. Sorry about that. 1.5.
Yeah, so Colt stuck a 1.5. Same. No. But that should be a big score for them. We'll see what the judges give her on that. Taking a look here at Aaliyah Carr from William & Mary on beam. We see 1.995 from one judge.
Kirsten Peterman's floor routine scored a 9.725 for Maryland. Should have been a tip-off that it was a 1.5 when they were counting for or chanting for 10.
Yeah,
so it would be tough to do the chant for a 9.95.
Get it
just doesn't have the same ring.
You didn't study your code of points before you came in today?
Up third for Maryland on floor is Leah Slobodin. And the senior, we saw her exhibition earlier on vault, so here is her competition routine on floor exercise.
And you can tell this is definitely her comfort zone. Opens with a huge front handspring, double full. And I don't think there's anyone that loves floor more than Leah Slobodin. She has so much fun out there, and the tumbling goes right with it. She go 1.5 punch layout. Great landing, huge smile from that one. Switch side Popa, nice and clean, brings them all the way around. So one more pass for the senior on her senior day coming up here. Front Rudy cold stuck, and that is the way you want to finish your floor routine on your senior day. She's going to have a little dance party before she finishes up, but definitely one to be proud of.
A really engaging routine. She's got that great smile that kind of draws you in, and certainly she is happy about that one, and you can tell her teammates happy for her here on senior day.
And when she only has this one routine, she obviously made the most of it. She did exhibition, which is great, but in terms of counting routines, she went out there and really, really went for it, and it paid off. And, she has to be happy with doing that on her senior day. Flipping back over to William & Mary on beam. Hitch kick side aerial, nice and clean. Got really great lines. Comes off there. Had a really great set going until she slipped off. And the ending of a bar routine from the Penn Quakers there kind of pulled her toes down and took a couple steps back, but go ahead.
I was going to say that was Caroline Mitch. We've got two left, Kira Levy and Emma Cullen, a talented freshman for Penn. Numbers are in for Kentucky on vault. It is a new season high for the Wildcats, 49.425, highlighted by that 9.95 from Molly Korth in the anchor spot, and it's a 195.850 for Kentucky. So not overall the number they wanted to see today, but they'll be pleased with how they finished. Back on floor now,
Amanda Bertarello, after being pulled out of that beam lineup, she's a great floor worker, and I've seen her on more than this event. I've seen her on beam, and I've seen her on bars, I believe, before, and I am a huge fan of Amanda's gymnastics. She has such a good balance between power and grace, and I think that's something that not a lot of gymnasts have. They'll maybe more have one or the other, and she goes in and she attacks these routines, so I'm glad she was able to get out here on floor today for whatever reason. Doing well so far.
Her season and career high is a 9.8. Should love to pick this moment to go ahead and beat that. She's coming off of a 9.8 from Leah Slobodin.
So set up, it's all set up for round off back handspring double tuck. Coach Nelligan liked that one. Saw that big fist pump behind him. She made it through that routine. So made it through in her only appearance of the day with maybe some other stuff going on her end, but she came out and she did her job, and I think that's probably the reason why Coach Nelligan was so hyped up about it, because, you know, he puts a lot of faith in these athletes just like any coach would, and when they go out there and they hit routines like this, a well-deserved fist pump from, you know, from the background. The crowd likes it. Should be another good score to add on to their day.
Yeah, and hopefully they can get to the point as again, Maryland looks to make this postseason push, wanting to qualify for the NCAA regionals. You want to get her back on more than one event because you can see the caliber of gymnast that you're talking about, just a sophomore. But if they can get her back in that beam lineup especially, that would be a huge help for the Terrapins. It is a 9.85 for Bertarello, so a new season and career high for the sophomore. Well-deserved.
Yeah, you called that one, Kevin. No time like the present. That's what I always say. Kira Levy wrapping up this bar routine. Really nice. She's a great bar worker. Had a small hop on her dismount, but from what I saw, the rest of it looked really clean. After maybe a lower scoring routine from before that, we saw the end of that last routine that had those couple steps back with that double A. So a great bounce back for Penn. They're looking pretty good over there on bars.
Two left for Maryland on floor. We've got a freshman and a senior, and we'll begin with the freshman, Alicia Farina.
Huge double pike. She's really stepped in this season. I mean, she was named a Big Ten gymnast to watch, you know, before anyone even saw her compete in college. So, you know, that kind of speaks to what her reputation was, and she's definitely lived up to it. That 1.5 layout, nothing on that. She's really settled into, you know, her routine. I think you and I might have talked on other broadcasts about how hard it is to compete floor as a freshman. It's a little overwhelming. There's a lot of cheering, a lot of dancing. People expect a lot of things, I think, from a collegiate floor routine, and it can be overwhelming for a freshman to just go out there and feel comfortable right away, but she definitely looks like she's more comfortable now. Her tumbling is there, and she's got some great gymnastics all around.
And in a lot of cases, you're being asked to do all of that and with a smile on your face the entire.
She'll close out here, round off handspring double tuck. Huge. You got a big cheer on that one. Her chest went right up. She can't get that smile off her face. That was a great set. And sets up there number 6 beautifully. And Emily Brockmuller has not scored lower than a 9.8 this season. So not to jinx her, so, you know, knock on wood on our table, but a great floor worker coming up. And like you said, now we've got no stress going into that last event.
Oh, and I want to revisit a point, Lauren, that you made at the very start of the broadcast. If you were with us, Lauren mentioned that Maryland has not counted a fall in the entire month of February, and that will continue here today. And not just not counting a fall today, they've got the chance to hit 24 for 24. That, you know, Alicia Farina had a little bit of a start value issue, and I think even the Maryland coaches, we may have overheard them saying that they thought that connection that the judges didn't see was connected. But, I mean, that 9.4 that was dropped is really, you know, not even close to a fall today.
Taking a last look at this William & Mary set. Nice gainer off the end, just a step. Didn't actually see the rest of it, but Ending looked pretty good.
That was William & Mary's beam anchor, Erica Marr. So the Tribe is finished for the day. And now to close out our final competitive routine, fittingly on senior day, it is senior Emily Brockmuller.
Cold stuck double pike. That's the way you want to start it. And, you know, I think we can't say it enough today is the little things. I look at Emily Brockmuller's round off back handsprings even, and they are so incredibly clean that it stands out. It's what is the exclamation point on this team right now. 1.5 layout, steps right into that little arabesque. Looking really solid so far. Hopefully she really just enjoys these last couple minutes here on floor. Does what she knows how to do best. Great leaps. She's super grounded. That's what I like about this routine. It's, you know, a lot of times you can see people on floor bouncing around all crazy, but she is not that athlete. She really takes her time, and, you know, that's something that I think judges and fans alike will appreciate. Last pass here for Emily. Round off handspring double tuck. Brings it right up with just the step. And I think she should be happy with that one to close out her senior day and close out an incredible afternoon for the Terps.
Oh, an enormous reaction here from the Xfinity Center crowd as well. Well deserved. Again, like you said, Lauren, just a terrific way to finish. That was after a 9.875, by the way, from Alicia Farina right before her. So there's a lot to be impressed about. Looking at, I know you've seen them twice already this season, but my first time getting to see them in person. And you've got a great freshman class. You've got good seniors that just top to bottom. I mean, there's not a lot to nitpick on this Maryland team. They really, you know, they've got a lot of stuff buttoned up very well.
Yeah, they're doing exactly what they need to do at this point in the season, which is focus on those little tiny details so they can save every tenth that they can. And, you know, we saw a couple things on beam, I think a couple wobbles that they could clean up. And, you know, then it comes down to landings on vaults and things like that. But, you know, from then to now, my first meet with them, they have come so far, and I took a little break in the middle there, but, you know, I'm extremely impressed with everything that they've done across the board. You know, nothing really stands out more than another, just an all-around great day.
They finished with back-to-back 9.875s from Alicia Farina and Emily Brockmuller for a new season-best 49.125 on floor. It's the second highest score of the season for Maryland, a 195.475. It will not be enough to catch Kentucky on this day, as the Wildcats will take first place in this quad meet with a 195.850. And again, Kentucky probably top to bottom, not the finish that they wanted to see today, but they recovered nicely from a slow start on bars, counting that fall to get the win here in the quad meet. Pennsylvania, UPenn will take third with a 193.425. William & Mary fourth, 192.825. But as we talked at the very start of the meet, Lauren, about this, we're hitting the second half of the season. This is now almost officially the home stretch of the regular season. All these teams are trying to position themselves for their various postseason berths, and I think we saw a lot out of Maryland today. They come up just short in their quest to take down a top 10 team in Kentucky, but in terms of positioning themselves for the NCAA regionals, today's a victory.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, they really took advantage of they might not have even known about Kentucky's maybe misstep on bars, but you could tell they came in here ready to fight, and they did, and they really proved themselves as to be able to go out there and compete with top 10 teams, and that's what's going to push them into a postseason with an NCAA regionals berth and things like that.
We'll be back here one more time inside the Xfinity Center on March 1st. That's a Wednesday, a weekday, 7 p.m. start. It's a 5 meet. We've got Temple, New Hampshire, Westchester, and William & Mary joining Maryland, so we're looking forward to that one. But on senior day, Maryland's three seniors shine, and the Terrapins post their second highest score of the season, a 195.475, taking second in this quad meet behind Kentucky and ahead of Penn and William & Mary. That'll do it for us here on BTN To Go. I want to thank my partner Lauren Capone and our entire BTN crew. This is Kevin Kopp saying thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everybody, from Xfinity Center. We'll see you back here on Wednesday, March 1st.